Hi everybody, welcome back to channel Stu Clark. So let's talk about power, specifically the power needs of a wildlife photographer in the field. Obviously, if you're just taking photos, your power needs will be much less than someone like myself that's shooting photos, videos, and YouTube content. Therefore, I'm going to need a lot of batteries as well as charging options to make sure that everything is running while I'm out in the field and I'm not missing those opportunities. Ideally, in best case scenario, if everything's charged up when you head out the door, you shouldn't need a power bank. But in those rare instances where you've got ton of action, a ton of activity, you've got a lot to say to the camera. In those instances, you're definitely going to need some power backup. And not only that, power backup goes beyond just making the video and kind of getting your content. It can really play into the safety of your day. And for me, if I go west from here, I drive 5 minutes. I'm actually completely out of cell service. From all the latest iPhones, you can now call search and rescue via satellites. So having that extra power by a power bank, it really might make the difference of life or death. So power and having extra power to charge your devices, depending on where you are and what you're doing, can be a very, very important thing. So first off, today INIU reached out to me. They asked if I wanted to do a review of their new P63 Cougar charger, and it's a 25,000 milliamp power bank. And as this video it's not sponsored. They just basically provided the product for the video. And so we're going to be talking about that in conjunction with all my power needs. And I thought it was a great opportunity for me to discuss what kind of charging needs, what kind of milliamp hours you might need based on what you bring with you. And so this one is a great little product. And yeah, this is what we're going to be looking at today. We'll take a look at it and we'll be discussing it in relation to my outdoor gear needs. Now, ideally, if everything is charged when you head out the house, you won't need much battery backup. But as we all know, that's often not the case. How often have you walked out the house, forget to put the battery back in your camera, so you only have the one spare battery that you normally carry with you? It might not be fully charged. When I'm going out the door, I've got a bunch of different kit with me, and if any of those pieces aren't charged, it can really make or break the day. It's a number of times I've been out. I'm generally pretty good, but stuff happens. It's just the nature of it. You're rushing out the door in the morning and you forget the night before you forget to charge something. A power bank can really save your day. So one of the problems with power banks is trying to understand what everything means. And we're actually I'm not even gonna try to get into that today. But one of the older style power banks, this old Blue Eddy, I believe it's about 25,000 milliamps. You're looking at 3.1 amps, 5 volts, and where you got the new power banks where this one is actually 100 watts as 100 watt USB-C charging. So significant difference of power output and what they can charge. And not only what can they charge, but also the duration of charge time. So these are things that if you're kind of been relying on old power banks and they still hold a charge, they still can charge up your items, that's great. But what you're missing out on is the fast charge times that's now available on a lot of equipment. Things like the Osmo Pocket 3 has a super fast charge time where you can charge that up to about 80% in about 20 minutes with one of the newer power banks, yet with an old style one, it's going to take an hour and a half. So it significantly changes the versatility of a power bank in that it almost replaces having to carry extra batteries because you can charge it so quick. So if you're moving from shoot to shoot, a lot of times, if you've got a bit of a hike, you can plug it in between and you'll be fully charged by the time you get to your next location. So that's something to really take in mind. I was quite surprised. I've been relying on, an Anker, a 10,000 milliamp battery pack, which is the 20 watt charging. So this will do a decent fast charge on most of my items. But what's amazing is now when you get to the 100-watt charging, you can actually charge your laptop. And it really kind of opens up the versatility of a power bank for field use. Okay, so let's have a quick look through at what I take in the field to give you an idea of just how much gear could require charging while I'm out there. And say, so if you're going out for just a day use, obviously something like a 10,000 milliamp power bank is probably adequate, where you might just need a recharge of your phone, especially if you're going to be in cell service. So if you're going to be in cell service, so there's no emergency needs going to be required. You might just need a half charge of your cell phone, a camera battery, something like that. For sure, weight can come into play at that point, and something like an Anker 10,000 milliamp or an INIU 10,000 milliamp, any sort of 10,000 milliamp battery pack will get you a full charge on your phone, no problem, and probably also charge a battery as well. And for those sorts of situations, that's great. Obviously, you can go with a nice smaller power bank to save a little bit of weight in your pack. But if you're heading out for a full day, you're heading out into the backcountry like I often do, that's where you're going to be wanting to look at something with a little bit more power to charge all your gear. So when I head out, it's kind of surprising how much you rely on field power nowadays. Okay, so first off, obviously cell phone. That's going to be number one, obviously. This is the iPhone 14. What's really interesting when you're looking at power banks, the number, so 10,000 milliamp hour, 25,000 milliamp hour, it doesn't directly correlate to adding up the milliamp hours of all of your equipment. And even if you look at the specs on a power bank, for example, the INIU says that it will charge a iPhone 15, I believe it's 4.5 times. It equates to about 15,000 milliamp hours. And this seems to go through most brands. So they're not, because of the inefficiencies in the charging cables and the output, there's things that happen in charging, not getting a full 25,000 milliamps in charging. Something to really be aware of. So it's not just a case of adding up the milliamps of all the things you take with you and then buying a power bank accordingly. You do have inefficiencies involved in that. So that's something to be really aware of. So obviously, said iPhone 14 Pro is my current phone. And that's about, I think, what's that guy? Just to give you an idea, we'll go through and give you a list of about 3,200 milliamp hours. So that's kind of definitely with me always. So that's the kind of thing. I've got the DJI Osmo Action 4. This is a great little action camera. And this one is about, what is this one? 1,770 milliamp hours. And again, this has got fast charging on it, so you can charge this quite quickly with the power banks. I always carry 3 Nikon ENL15 batteries with me, so 1 in the camera and 2 spares. And then I also have a Nightcore USB charger. This is just a USB-A charger. I need to see if I can find a USB-C charger, might be a little bit quicker. Generally 3 batteries is adequate, I find, for most shooting conditions for me from a day standpoint. But I will carry but I am able to charge a battery if need be. And generally, if things start off, I'm shooting and things happen very quickly, I'll quickly get a battery onto the charger just to make sure that I don't run out of power. Osmo Pocket 3, and this also has a battery grip attached. Osmo itself is 1,300 milliamp hours, and then the battery pack 950 milliamp hours. So that's something that, this is recording myself, obviously, and this one will generally, this has got an amazing recharge rate with the super fast charge on this one. It's about 26 minutes to a full charge. So it's pretty incredible with this. So especially with the battery grip on it, I'll generally get most of a day shooting with this. But if I do need to recharge it, it's quickly topped up, which is excellent. Shotgun mic. This is on-camera shotgun mic, recording bird calls, things like that. I generally use either the DJI or the Rode wireless for lav mics on myself, recording myself. So the shotgun mic will be for field use and recording bird sounds. So that's a USB-C charging as well. A USB speaker. Just being a bird photographer in certain situations, having a bird call option is always handy. And so that will always be with me as well. Flashlight, this is the Olight Baton 3 Pro Max. Fantastic flashlight, and I've always got this with me when I'm heading out. Anything in the evening, late afternoon, I always make sure I have a flashlight with me. I always have keychain flashlights as well, but this is kind of my go-to in the pocket flashlight, which is just fantastic. You know, the DJI lav mic sets up great with the Pocket, and then the Rode Wireless Pro, which is just a fantastic lav mic. Depending on if I'm using the Pocket or not, I'll be using these guys. This is nice because this does have a battery backup in the case itself, so generally won't have to charge this in the field. But if I was out on a multi-day use and somehow forgot to charge, you know, I was shooting in the camp at night and somehow forgot to put it on charge, I could always get this charged up so that I can keep the mics charged up out, no problem. So that's kind of a good one to have with me as well. I think, you know, how the heck do you keep all of this charged? And it's quite amazing. So INIU, like I said, they reached out to me to take a look at the new P63 Cougar. And this is an incredible little power bank. To give you an idea, you're looking at 10,000 milliamps versus 25,000 milliamps. So you can see how small and compact this is. It's actually, they're claiming the smallest 25,000 milliamp power bank on the market right now. If you compare it to the old Blue Eddy, for example, but I believe this is a 25,000 milliamp as well. And you can see it is definitely a little bit thicker. So, you know, there's definitely some, it's a bit thicker, but overall size is just fantastic. And the one thing I really like about this form factor is, I'm not a big camera bag guy, but it's the same height as a lens. So it can vertically go into a camera bag, which is a really nice feature. So one of the things with the larger battery packs, they're always really difficult to fit into a camera bag. You've got to kind of lay them flat and they take up a long pocket. So this one's really nice. You can easily configure it, drop it into a slot with the Velcro pockets, and you can keep it in place. Easily fits in any pocket of the camera bag or even in a cargo pocket of your pants if need be. So this battery pack has got a lot of amazing features on it for not just its small and compact size, which is obviously a huge plus. So it's USB-C, it's got power delivery 100 watts, which is quite unique, especially for this size of a unit. Like I said, this anchor, for example, is 20 watts. So the 100 watt option, so my laptop here is a PD 65 watt. So it's power delivery 65 watt with USB-C. So this power bank can actually charge it almost twice. It's fantastic. So the versatility of this little guy is amazing. Where, like I said, with the other power banks, they're not able to charge a laptop. So the laptop might not be an everyday use, but if you're out, you know, if you're on the road field, you know, you're doing a layover somewhere, just being it when you don't have access to power, is a fantastic option to be able to keep your laptop charged up. You know, like for a big road trip, for example, I'll use a battery box, and we're not, for the sake of this video, we're not going to get too much into this, but this is only a power delivery 65. It doesn't have as much power output charging as the small little power bank here. And so, as technology has improved, it's really, it's opened up your opportunities when you're out in the field for just kind of keeping yourself powered up without lugging around a ton of weight. So one of the things with the recent switch over to USB-C by most manufacturers, they're basically trying to make it where one cable port, so all the cables, you just had one port to have to deal with instead of USB-A, you know, Lightning. I think it was the European Union actually demanded that everything had to go to USB-C in order to kind of limit the amount of cables that you would need for recharging. In that, though, they couldn't have made it more confusing. And it's something that you have to be very aware of this, and you need to test everything before you head out. And what the problem is that USB-C cables are not all the same. From both a data speed and a charging capability. So before you head out in the field, I've actually got high-speed data cables that won't charge certain devices. You actually need a lower grade cable to charge some devices where, like the small rig LED light here, it won't charge with some of my higher end cables. I actually need to have a lower quality cable to get it to charge. Something to be really, really aware of. And depending on what cables you have, some things won't charge at the rate you think they will. So it's really important. With this battery bank, I think they shipped it with a 100-watt charging cable. So it should charge most everything, but you want to make sure it does. So before you head out in the field, no matter what power bank you buy, no matter what you're using, you want to make sure that whatever cable you take with you, it charges everything you're taking at a rate you expect it to be charging at. So very important that not all USB-C cables are the same. And even with SSD drives and the like, it's definitely worth your while to actually do some testing of them. Get a drive speed test and just compare data transfer rates with the cables you're using. You might find that swapping a cable can dramatically speed up your computer. But yeah, for charging is really important because, you know, I said you head out there and the cable you take with you might not charge what you need it to. Something to be very, very aware of. So with the INIU P63, it has a fast charge option for it as well as charging out. And that's something that, like I say, as power banks have evolved over the last few years, they've really changed the versatility. So this one, some of my testing, it charged from 50% to 100% in about 50 minutes, which is fantastic. So, you know, you wake up in the morning, you realize you forgot to charge your power bank, you can quickly get it to full charge. Or up to even a usable amount of charge, where some of the older power banks, especially when you're charging with the micro USB, can take hours to get charged to bring up to a full charge. So that's something that's really nice with the new ones. And again, that USB-C to USB charger, if you're just plugging into the computer, I actually have a separate power bank of just for USB-A and USB-C charging. And even that's only power delivery 65 watt charger. So with this one, you actually take advantage of a 100-watt charger. So all these things you need to be, in order to get the most out of them, you do need to be updating some of your hardware every once in a while. And if you're not updating your hardware, you can't expect to get the numbers that they claim in the advertising. That's something to be aware of. So with this one, to give you an idea, charge times where my Osmo Action 4, I'm able to charge this from 5% to 99% in 32 minutes. And so that just makes it, I don't need to worry about buying an extra battery for this at the moment, because this is a B-roll camera for me. This is something that, if I want to get some underwater footage at a creek, if I want to get some interesting footage, some B-roll stuff, this camera's not getting a ton of use. So I don't need to worry about spending money on an extra battery right now, because I can so quickly charge it in the field with this guy. So that's a great feature of that. Like I said, DJI has done an amazing job of fast charging, and they've introduced some amazing fast charging abilities in their cameras, and that's kind of where having a fast charge capable power bank kind of really works in conjunction really well with these cameras. The Osmo Action 3 as well, another camera that has an amazing fast charge ability. This one I was able to charge from 3% to 100%, so just the camera itself in 24 minutes, which is amazing. So with the Osmo, if you're not familiar with how the battery grip works, basically the battery grip will drain first and then the camera. And when it charges, the camera will charge first and then the battery grip. It's quite a nice way they designed it for charging. So you can get this camera back to full charge in 24 minutes using this power bank. So again, you're up and ready to run. You have a quick lunch break and you're fully ready to start recording again, which is awesome. It's great, really well made, and it works really well. And then the battery grip on this was about another half hour to get the battery grip. I don't think the battery grip takes advantage of the fast charging as well as the camera. The battery grip's about I think 65% of the battery capacity of the camera, but doesn't seem to do the fast charge as well. Something to be aware of. And then obviously camera batteries, something that the Nikon EL15C is, what are we looking at? is about 2280 milliamp hours. And this is just a USB 3.1 charging cable, so it won't take advantage of any of the fast charging capabilities. And this one will charge in about, I didn't get a full time on this one. I'll charge it up and I'll put the time down below. I'll put a timestamp of how long it took me to actually charge it. I think I got to go to bed before it finished charging. So I'll do a charge time on this and I'll leave that below on a timestamp down below here and how long it took to charge the camera battery. And then iPhone 14 Pro. This one took it from, it went from 15% to 100% in about an hour and 45. So no, same as when I charge it into my power bank. And the limiting factor on charging for this one is probably the lightning cable that I have for this. I need to actually try charging this with a USB-C to lightning, because right now the lightning I'm using is a USB 3.1 to lightning. So I'll try that again. And if I do get a faster charge time than that, I'll leave that down below. And then, and I was still, so basically, this is what I was able to charge with this camera, with this battery pack. I was able to charge up the DJI Action 4, and that took up 11% of the battery pack. I was able to charge up the DJI Pocket 3, and that took it down to 74%. So it went from 89%, 74%. The grip put it down to 63%. The Nikon actually knocked it down quite a bit. So this knocked it down to 37%. And I'm not sure, I imagine there's some inefficiency with the USB 3 charger on, with the USB 3 charger on this. I'll need to look into that a little bit, but that did take it down to 37%. The iPhone then fully charged took it down to 18%. And then the final 18% was able to actually charge my laptop up 18%. And so quite an amazing amount of power. It adds up to probably about 15,000 milliamp hours, which is, as I was saying, when you look at the specs that they provide, they say it's about 15,000 milliamps is what you would expect to charge out of a 25,000 milliamp hour power bank, just to be aware. And they're not trying to hide anything there. That's just the nature of charging. Yeah, the other nice feature for this, I can actually use this to power my my Z8 for videography, which is a great feature. It's nice because by removing the power draw from the camera, you can hopefully cut down on the heat built up in the camera. So that's another really nice feature with this, is that you can run the Z8 for probably hours of videography. Yeah, and it's actually, from a value standpoint, it's going to be quite a bit cheaper than some V-mount batteries. So if you are doing a lot of video work, this would be a cheaper alternative that you can use in the field. So weight, as I said, if you're just going out for an afternoon, this is at 10,000 milliamp hours at 249 grams. This guy, though, for 2.5 times the power is 390 grams. And I think with batteries, as this is, they claim the smallest 25,000 milliamp power bank on the market. I think with weight, though, they basically increased the density of the battery in this, which has allowed them to make it much smaller. But the fact, I think when it comes to batteries with current technologies, until we get into the solid state batteries, I think weight is just, it's almost a given. You can only cut weight so much and still have the same power output. But I think, like I said, the form factor of this, I'm really a big fan of. So on the outside of this, so there is a USB-A charger, which is 18 watts maximum. It has a fast charging protocol. So there's, as I said, there's a lot of numbers: the PD 3.0, PD 2.0, QC 3.0, and QC 2.0. I'm not going to even get into those today, but something just be aware of, that this one can take advantage of almost all of the current fast charging technologies out there, and that's something that it's one of the nice things. If you're looking for a new power bank, if you're going to step up into it, definitely make sure that it can take advantage of a lot of the current protocols, especially if you're buying new phones, any of the new DJI equipment for sure, because they are definitely able to take advantage of the faster charging times. So this does have, it's got 3 different charging outputs. You've got 100 watt, which is able to charge your laptop, which is, as I said, it's quite unique in this, especially in this size of a power bank. And USB-C has a USB 45 watt, which would be useful for charging. Any of these devices would generally charge in that 45 watt range. And then you've got an 18 watt USB-A. So you can actually have all 3 of these plugged in at any given time. So you can charge 3 devices at once. This also does have through charging capabilities. So when it's charging, you can charge out, which is really handy on field trips. Oftentimes you're always chasing power on a road trip. And so being able to charge this while you're also charging devices through it is a really nice feature. Obviously you won't be able to use you won't be able to charge a laptop while you're doing that, for example, but you can do that for smaller items, which is a really nice feature for sure. But yeah, so I haven't had it in a long time, so I can't speak to the durability of it yet. As with any power bank, any lithium-ion power bank, over time it will lose a little bit of power. So something to be very aware of. If you are relying on some older power banks, you've got a big trip coming up, something to really be aware of, that they might not be the charging capacity they once were. So I'd highly encourage you to get everything, drain everything, and then do a charging test to see what you can actually get all of your gear charged through the power bank, just so you get you're getting the expected charging that you need. But yeah, like I said, so yeah, and like I said, and when it comes to overnight trips and everything else, there are the larger power banks, lithium iron phosphate. I'll be doing a deep dive into that one. This power bank has been okay, but it has run into some technical glitches with it. I'm getting an error code on it, so I'll need to reach out to Jackery or one of the other brands and hopefully get an opportunity to test one of those on a road trip soon. But for now, yeah, the INIU P63 Cougar. From initial testing, initial charge testing, I've been very impressed with its abilities and charge times. I said, and I'll in 6 months' time, once I've had a bunch of field use on it and field testing on it, I'll drop kind of a long-term note on how it's held up under field use out in the field. So thanks for joining me today. Until next time, we'll see you out there. Take care.